This section is going to discuss squat weak points if you're missing it in the middle. What missing a squat in the middle might look like is you can get the rebound from the bottom just fine, you come out of the hole just fine, and as you approach somewhere around that middle spot, your hips start to rise too fast. You feel like you have the leg strength maybe, but you don't have the back strength to finish the lift, is commonly how people like to describe it. So you can rebound out of the bottom fine, the hips start rising and the bar does not continue to rise. So that starts to turn you into a good morning and you get tipped over and can't complete the lift once you've already come almost halfway up. If this is you and you're missing a squat in the middle, the best technical thing that you can do to improve this is make sure you're driving those elbows forward. If you're reversing out of the hole fine and the bar is starting to get outran by the hips on the way up, making sure you drive those elbows forward are going to keep your body disciplined and learning that you're not going to allow your torso to get in a compromised position and that you're not going to allow your hips to rise faster than the bar. If you make sure you're driving those elbows forward, it'll physically stop your body from letting the hips rise. Now, if you miss a squat and you're doing that, it may look different than how you used to do it, but net overall gain, it's going to be an improvement if you're missing squats in the middle to think technically about driving your elbows forward. Another technical reason you might be missing in the middle is you have the weight too far forward on your feet. So as you're coming up, you're almost halfway up in the squat and you're missing. If you have too much of the weight forward on your feet, too much weight on the balls of your feet, not enough on the heels, there's too much energy loss going from the front of your foot to the back to apply force to the ground to continue moving that bar. The final technical piece on why you may be missing a squat in the middle is improper bracing. If you have great acceleration into the hole, you rebound great, and you're in a great position once the bar is reversed and you're on your way up, if all of that looks good, but about halfway up you start to lose your back position, you feel like your back's just not strong enough to continue coming up, and again, people might refer to it as I feel strong enough in the legs, but my back isn't strong enough. Bracing might be your issue. If you're losing any of your tightness or not bracing properly, that could be the cause of that, and simply fixing that bracing, learning how to do it right and maintain it through the whole squat might be your technical answer to missing in the middle. There's lots of movements that might help you address to why you're missing in the middle. It opens up the world to a lot of possibilities and different ways to try and address it. One of the best things you can do is a above parallel pause squat. So you would go down and you would stop above parallel. You would stop either at your sticking point or just below, pause for about 2 seconds and come back up. You don't go any further than that. You come down, you pause at or just below your sticking point, come back up. Similarly, another related movement to that would be a pin squat. You set up in a safety rack. You set the safety pins where the bar touches them when your body is 2 to 4 inches above parallel or at your sticking point or just below. You squat down, you barely deload the bar onto those pins and come back up. That will strengthen your weak point, strengthen why you're missing it in the middle, and teach your body how to adjust and acclimate to where you need to be in terms of leverage, balance, and bar control to get stronger in the middle of your squat. Front squat can be another great assistance movement for these. You can do the front squat with the same stance that you would normally do for your squat. The reason the front squat would be good, if you're losing that bar halfway up because you don't have the back strength and you're losing the rounding, the front squat would be great because it'll teach you how to maintain that back rigidity and that back position, because in a front squat, if you try and have improper back movement halfway up in the squat, you're physically not going to be able to do it. So if you can do a front squat and maintain a proper back position and not lose any of that rigidity, that will carry over to you missing a squat halfway up. Good mornings are another great exercise if you're missing a squat halfway up because your hips are outrunning the bar. If your hips are outrunning the bar and everything else is pretty good, technically sound on your squat, well then it's simply a position that you need to strengthen. A good morning is great because if properly done, it puts you into that compromised position. You strengthen that compromised position and now it will carry over to your squat, and hopefully instead of missing in the middle, it'll become your strong point and now you'll miss it higher up. Finally, another great movement on squats if you're missing it halfway up is accommodating resistance squats, so either bands or chains. What this will teach you to do, if you're squatting and you're coming up, there's no coasting allowed. If you coast when you have heavy bands on there, it'll crush you. So what it will train and teach your body to do is fight and drive into that bar maximally, 100% force the entire range of motion. So if you're missing a squat halfway up because maybe you're just losing a little bit of drive or you're not firing maximally long enough, What an accommodating resistance squat will do is train your body to apply 100% maximal force through that entire range of motion and help you overcome that sticking point in the middle.